Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard. And we have a great show for you. Loaded show. Tons of information to talk about with the NHL coming back and the Ducks and the roster and all kinds of craziness. But I guess the best part, Eddie, is that we made it. It's 2021. We got out of 2020, Eddie. Are you not excited to have that year behind you, or what?
I guess it's bittersweet. Yeah, 2020 kind of sucked, but it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I'm like I'm in the best shape I have been in the last 10 years, I want to say, and it kind of forced me to staying home and just looking at the four walls every day just forced me to kind of get out more and be more healthy and to kind of get myself back together. So since July and since I jumped off that stratosphere, I think everything has been trending up. So I want to just continue this momentum in the 2021. Now, if we can just go watch some damn games, that'd be great, because I'm getting really desperate. About to go sneak in to watch some beer league games and just to get some kind of hockey fix.
Oh, I agree. That's one issue that we will talk about on this show. As you all know, that the NHL is coming back, of course, right? Our last show was at the very beginning of December. A little bit after that, they announced that they're going to start the season back up. We will have more regular shows during the course of the regular season, probably weekly, if not every 2 weeks. But hockey is back, right? Officially, as you all know already. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit. Dive into the Ducks. Plenty of news going on with them. We got the World Juniors to discuss as well, and tons of fan questions. So it's a loaded show. It's gonna, grab a seat, grab a beer, or if you're on a road trip or driving home to and from work, don't grab a beer, but pay attention to the road and listen. We got plenty to talk about. So
hey, what's your New Year's resolution before we go on?
That's a good one. That's a tough one. For me. Now you throw me on the spot right now, and I really don't even know what my
Sorry, it was just on top of my head just to throw it out there. So
I like it. I sometimes we're random on the show, which is good. You kind of throw a loop into it, and then we look at it and go, mine probably is just to basically continue with being positive. Like you said earlier, I looked at 2020. There's a lot of things that I started to realize that happened that year, as you and I talked about before we recorded this show today. So I look towards, giving out good energy and basically doing that instead of being negative. I think 2020, I got a little negative here and there. We've talked about on previous shows, I got a little bit overweight, and drank a little bit too much. I then ended up going back to working out and losing that weight, got back to a more happier place. And I think my goal is to stay that way. I think 2020 was so challenging in general for everybody. For me personally, as you all know, the year started off really crappy for me with my mom passing away, and this last New Year's wasn't easy, obviously, but it is what it is. And I think that's the goal, is to be consistent, stay healthy, stay positive, stay motivated. And I really think that's the best way to look at it, Eddie, because as you and I have talked about, things come at us in our life, and we don't always have control over what is thrown at us, but we have control over how we respond.
Oh, well said. I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm a big control freak. I like to control every aspect of things, even stuff I can't control. So I have to kind of just, when things come at me, I have to just be able to respond in a positive way. And you're probably one of the most positive people I know, so it's always good to have you in my corner. Like you said, you're my brother, dude. We say this all the time. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So cheers to 2020, FU 2020, and welcome to 2021.
Yeah, absolutely, my man. I mean, as everybody knows, 2020 is what it was. The last game you and I went to, saw the Delorier hat trick. Like you said, I feel like you're my unofficial or non-biological brother, or however you want to term that damn thing. But I feel the same way, So it's always been a pleasure doing this stuff with you, and we always joke around, try to bring light to the show and not be negative, which we have. And I went through a struggle last year. I'm not going to lie. I had a lot of stuff go on. A lot of people know about it. I talk a lot about it on Facebook. I don't hide behind the stuff that I go through. You've gone through stuff too, and we always reach out to everybody. If you ever have an issue with anything, you're more than welcome to DM us, text us, email us, whatever. We're always here to help people out. That's why 2021, I'm like, let's go, right? New year, started off strong, and see what's going to happen with this year. It's got to be better, right? So that's the way I look at it. It can only go up from here. So with that, the return of hockey, as we talked about, is coming. It was going to come on my birthday, right, Eddie? You and I, Team Capricorn. I thought it was going to be the 15th. It ended up being the 13th, which, hey, that's fine. And obviously the Ducks are on the 14th. That's all good. But just a quick rundown. I mean, a lot of you already know this as far as what's going on, but they approved the season. They're going to do 56 games. A lot of these games are going to be kind of back-to-back, playing the same teams within the division, right? So they realigned everything, and we'll break that down right now. Basically, they took all the Canadian teams, and they're in their own division for the quote-unquote North Division. And then the way that kind of worked is the Pacific Division had Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver all removed. And then we kind of got this right on the last show, Eddie, but they added Colorado. We thought Dallas was going to come in. They did not add Dallas. Instead, they added St. Louis and Minnesota, which geographically makes zero sense. They should have added Dallas on one of those teams like we talked about, but that's what's going on there. Then the Central Division, they pulled Columbus and Carolina and the two Florida teams, the Panthers and the Lightning, into the Central. And then basically everything left, they just put in the East. Kind of the way it went down. But I thought it was interesting the way that they redid it, Eddie. I know it's going to be weird because now you got the Ducks and Colorado playing each other in the same division, which is going to be kind of crazy because, Colorado's your second team, as everybody knows. And it's going to be intense. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be positive for the Ducks. It's going to be tough. I mean, yeah, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver leave, but not all those teams are doing as well, right? Where now you're bringing in three teams that are pretty good contenders. So I get the realignment, with everything going on. I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but I don't know if it's going to help the Ducks too much, Eddie.
Yeah, Colorado and St. Louis being added, that's going to be tough. Like, they're both probably really, really good teams. With Minnesota, good. I hope the Ducks stomp the crap out of them. I hope all the other teams stomp the crap out of them. Like, at this point, if Ducks and Kings, or if a Kings in Minnesota played, I'm going for the Kings. If Sharks in Minnesota played, I'm going for the Sharks. I can't stand Minnesota. So I'm kind of glad they're in the Pacific, and I hope they get just stomped on. But seeing these other teams, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be fun seeing Vegas and Colorado go at it. I think both of those teams are really fun to watch. And with this new, alignment, it might cause some new rivalries on other teams. Maybe, Kings and Colorado rivalry, Vegas and Colorado, teams that don't play each other because they're in the Pacific and they're in the Central. So maybe this sparks up some new rivalries and we get some more outdoor games. Maybe, who knows, Anaheim and Minnesota really start hating each other and just battle through this division. And then come next few years, Ducks can be in a Winter Classic against Minnesota or something like that. I think it's a little bit more positive to create more rivalries.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's definitely that rivalry factor for sure. It's just like when I saw those teams come in, I'm like, Colorado, Minnesota, St. Louis. I'm like, really, man? You got to throw all these teams in this, I don't know, in this division? It's going to be crazy. So that's what we got now. The way that the situation is for the playoffs, too, it changed a little bit, in case you didn't know. So the top four teams of each division will make the first round of the playoffs. There's no more wild card teams. So, team 1 will play team 4, 2 against 3. Then obviously the winners will play each other, which then also leads to the conference finals. So you're going to have a Canadian team, right? Because the North Division now is all Canadian teams. So you'll have that in the mix. So that part's going to be a little bit interesting. I wasn't a big fan of the whole wild card thing anyways. We talked about it before, how you could have a team be a wild card and then put in the other division, and you could have basically two teams fight it out for the division. So here at least you're going to have a team from each division respectively And other than the whole thing with Dallas, I like the format. I think it works out pretty good overall. But yeah, like Eddie said, some of these rivalries is going to be interesting. Colorado and LA, remember they had their outdoor game recently too, so they might go at it. Like you said, Minnesota's in the mix as well. Talking about the Pacific Division. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out for the Ducks in here. And we'll get to more of this too. I know a lot of you asked fan questions about how the Ducks going to do and all this. So that's coming later in the show. So we'll do that. And just for the way the show's going, we're still doing the whole, talk about the league first and the Ducks, fan questions, and other league news. We'll kind of keep it that format for now. And then when the season starts, it'll probably more pretty much focused on the Ducks, obviously. Some of the key dates to keep in mind, too. Training camps have already started. The Ducks started on December 31st. The league started on January 3rd. And like we said, season's going to start on January 13th. We've got the trade deadline April 12th. And then the season's supposed to end May 8th, with the playoffs then starting on May 11th. And then all the draft free agency stuff in July. So that's kind of the roadmap, obviously subject to change, as we've always been saying. But that's what we're looking at now. And the HL is supposed to start on February 5th, with the OHL and WHL still up in the air, Eddie. So at least we know that we have the NHL and the AHL back. It should be exciting. I do like the playoff format. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know where the Ducks are going to end up. You and I talked about it with this division realignment. We didn't have high hopes before, and I think they're a fringe team. I mean, the way that they're at now, maybe they squeeze in as the fourth team in the West, but I don't have a lot of hopes for that, Eddie.
Yeah, I don't want to be all negative or anything. I'm just being realistic. The Ducks don't really have a team that I can see that can make the playoffs in their division right now. If they did squeak in that, in the playoffs, I can't see them moving past the first round, and that's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just the Ducks they just don't have that capability right now. They don't have the star power. Their biggest star right now is John Gibson, and unless every one of their players rises to their potential, I can't see the Ducks doing that well in this division. I think 2022 is going to be a lot better for the Ducks, but this one's going to be one of those seasons where it's going to be maybe tough. I just want them to improve on what they did last season. I want them to score some more power play goals and score some more goals. Like, just shoot the damn puck and get things in front of the net, and hopefully it goes in, because last year was kind of tough. Like I said numerous times on the power play, it was just, I wasn't even happy. The Ducks got a power play. I'd use the time to go to the refrigerator, get another beer, or use the restroom, because I knew nothing was going to happen.
No, and you're right. And that's been a problem on the power play for the last couple seasons. So that's definitely an issue that they have to work on, going into this new season. And we'll basically transition. We'll talk about all the Ducks now. We did get an early Christmas present, right? We found out that Ryan Miller, right before Christmas, decided to come back. Not only come back to the NHL, but he signed a 1-year deal for $1 million with the Ducks, which was a huge added bonus, right? We weren't really sure. Like last season, he was going to retire. He played the game in Buffalo, got that start. We thought that was it. Lockdown, all the other craziness, and whatever happened last year. So it was kind of up in the air. He appeared on TV. Too, where they were talking about the hockey couples and whatnot, and they had different things on there, and you really weren't sure what was going to happen after everything, but he decided to come back. Kind of makes sense with the division breakdowns and everything, and now with the teams only playing within a division, right? So the Ducks aren't going to go up to Canada, right? They're not going to play in the Canadian teams. They're not going to go to the East Coast. Everything's pretty much going to be on the West Coast. Other than St. Louis and Minnesota, obviously, right? They're going to have to go out there, but they're going to stay close to home, which was something that he did talk about, was, a concern with how that was going to work out. So I'm happy he's back, though one, I guess side effect or other consequence of that, having him come back, is that Dostal and Stolars aren't going to be backups to Gibson. We talked about Stolars. We thought he might be the backup if Miller didn't come, back, but now that's not going to happen, Eddie. So, I'm happy. I'm glad Miller's back for one more season. $1 million, great deal. It's just those other guys up and coming. They're going to have to wait their time.
And that's the way it goes in hockey. And things happen like this. You have to be patient, just work on your game and get that much better. And when it's your time, you take advantage of it and you give it all you got, and hopefully you can stick it through. I think the best thing about Miller coming back was his tweet on December 23rd when he said, "Tried out retirement for 9 months. Thanks, COVID. Decided I wasn't feeling it. Happy to be back." That was just the funniest tweet right there. It got everyone going. I know he was probably been frustrated not playing since last March, but he's back. I'm glad he's back. He's been one of my favorite goalies for a long time. When he was in Buffalo, I liked him. It was not just when he came to the Ducks. So I'm happy that he's back for another year. And hopefully these other goalies can learn from him too. He has that experience, that veteran leadership. It's going to be good. Hopefully they can both stay healthy, and I think they're going to have some decent seasons. They're going to help the Ducks get some wins.
Yeah, I'm really pumped up. Like I want to see these guys in the pipeline come up, especially Dossel. I'm really big on him. I'm really big on him, and we'll talk about it a little bit later too, because we got the whole taxi team thing, that we're going to talk about too, and whatnot. We'll break that down in just a second. But for me, the thing that I'm kind of frustrated, I feel like the Ducks kind of missed out a little bit, because we've talked about other players on past shows, if you listen, and how the Ducks can improve. So, in the goalie position, Miller's back. We have some in the pipeline, not a big deal. The Ducks went and got Shattenkirk, right, added him for the offseason. We'll kind of talk about our projected roster here in a minute, too. Again, we're like, okay, defense, fine. We look at the forward situation. Eddie and I talked about a few different players that were available, and we thought that the Ducks could get them on the cheap. Well, a couple of these players signed with other teams, so I was kind of frustrated for me watching this. And Eddie and I talked about this a little bit, but you had Anthony Duclair, right? He was kind of a thorn in the Ducks' side every time that they played him, and he goes and signs a 1-year deal for $1.7 million with Florida. So I'm like, okay, great. So there's another guy off the board. Then you have Andreas Anathasu, and he signs a 1-year deal with LA. And I'm like, God, I don't want to cuss, but, fuck, basically. I'm like, these two guys were the ones that, we talked about a bunch of players that, we said, hey, can the Ducks go out, get somebody on the cheap, and help add the offense? Well, look at both these guys signed cheap deals. Then frickin' Andreas goes to LA, which you all know how much we love LA, right? And I'm just like, man, that's what's killing me with this team, because I feel like this team can have a decent year, right? You got Miller back. You got your top 4 on defense. I don't think this team's going to do completely horrible. But if you're in this win now mode, which, Murray likes to throw out there, then why wouldn't you go get one of these guys, cheap-ass deals? They play multiple positions. They can score goals, and add them. I mean, yes, there's a lot of young players in the pipeline. Don't get me wrong. I'm super excited for all those players. We'll get to that too in a minute. But Eddie, they passed up some of these guys, and it's like, dude, I don't know. I'm a little frustrated.
Oh yeah, same here. I guess in Bob's defense with Duclair, he did sign in Florida for the 1.7, and there's no state tax. So I think if he would have signed with the Ducks, they probably would have had to pay him a little bit more to kind of compensate for that no state tax. It goes to show too, a player like Duclair, he decided to represent himself and not have an agent. I think it was a bad move on his part. He could have got a lot more money than 1.7. Maybe, like you said, Mike, or off the show, around 2.5. I'm saying at the high, maybe at the most $3 million he could have got. But this was another one of these players that the Ducks could have used, and he would have really helped the Ducks. His speed, and he can score goals. And then Athanasiou, that 1.3 million in LA, that one stings. Like, I wanted him to come to the Ducks. He's a player that has a lot of potential. He's a really fast player. He can help the offense, play those multiple positions, and then see him going to LA on a really cheap deal. That's just kind of like, man, if Murray's talking about win now, he wants to get this team and just retooling, but it just doesn't work. Just bargain Bob doesn't. This was a bargain. This was the player that the player that you could have bargained on, but he didn't want to do this. I don't understand why. And this would have definitely helped. Yeah, I know we're clogged, but with the whole taxi squad and everything, there could have been room for him, and I think it would have been a good fit. So this kind of stings seeing him go, but both of these players go. That's the one that kind of like, man, I really wish they would have came and tried to help the Ducks.
Yeah, and that's what you and I talked about. And then with Andreas going to LA, it's like, really, dude? It's like, oh, man, the Ducks didn't get him, but he also goes to one of our rivals. So that was kind of irritating. So, but let's kind of take a look at the Ducks and where they're at with their roster, what's going to happen. they had the training camp already. They started. Some of my sources told me, too, that the Ducks players were practicing before. Gibson was seen at Great Park Ice during the month of December practicing, and some of the other guys were ahead of time. So that may help the Ducks a little bit. I don't know what's going on with the other teams around the league, but I do know that some of the Ducks players were out there doing their thing beforehand. So hopefully that'll help. But the way it'll roll out is like this. There's a 23-man roster and then a 4 to 6 member taxi team, right? Like, all right, here we go. Call up your yellow cab. Exciting, right? It's kind of a wrench that they threw in this with the lockdowns and all this other craziness. But so the Ducks have that breakdown, 23-man roster, which will give what we think it'll be. Cap Friendly has the 23-man roster as it is now. And then on the Ducks website, the camp roster has 41 players. So we'll go into that and kind of give what we think will happen. Before I do that, though, Eddie, I'll let you break it down. There are some new numbers for some of the Ducks players. So you want to let everybody know what's going on with some of the changes and new numbers?
Oh yeah, before that, this taxi thing, I think the league really missed an opportunity to get some sponsors because like taxi team, it's kind of generic. You could have just bid for Uber or Lyft to get the rights. Like, hey, we have these 4 to 6 member Uber or Lyft team. Mm-hmm. But no, they did something else with ads we'll talk about later. But let's get down to the new numbers. Milano changed his number from 22 to 12. 12 was one of my old hockey numbers I used to use. I like the number 12. And it's funny because I had an ex-girlfriend back in high school that picked that number for me. Yeah, that sounds so lame, but I actually like that number 12. Still goes from 34 to 23. Some fans were not happy about this because Boschman wore 23. But Gibbons did wear 23 when he was at the Ducks too, so Steele is not the only person to wear 23 since Boschman retired. Shattenkirk, of course, took his number 22. That's why Milano changed his number. Curran went to 44. That's my personal favorite number, and that's my hockey number. I've been waiting for a player to get this number so I can buy their jersey, and I just haven't had a player that had it. So hopefully this will be a player that comes in, plays well, plays physical, like my type of hockey, and that'd be kind of cool to get a number with 44 on it. How do you say that name, Mike? Perot, yeah. Perot goes to 64, Ziggras 46, and Drysdale 34. Now, I always talk about how I like the old school mentality, you have to earn your spot, but this is one of the traditions the Ducks have that I wouldn't mind going away. I wouldn't mind them letting their players pick their own numbers. I think your number in any sport is probably like really important. Like to me, I always feel like my game's off when I don't have my number. I didn't play on a few teams before because I couldn't get my specific number. It's just those little things, especially with hockey players, are so superstitious. And they have to have certain things. I don't know. I think it would help their number a little bit to help their play a little bit if they get to pick their own number. Still, he's going to 23. He's on a contract year too. Him switching the number, I just for that reason too. I think he's going to have a good year on top of his contract year. But I don't know. For some reason, I think a number is really important. And I always think that, I like the old school mentalities, but I think the Ducks should allow players to pick their own numbers.
I'm with you. Numbers are important, man. 22 has been a lucky number for me. So when Milano had it, and then I knew Shattenkirk came, I was like, uh-oh, something's going to have to happen. So here we go, right? Shattenkirk takes 22, Milano goes to 12. Kind of bummed about that, but, I get it. Another one is, a lot of you know, is 55. That was the first Ducks jersey. Actually, 2 jerseys. As you remember, my mom bought me the home and away 1993 jerseys with 55 on both. Those were her lucky number. So I have jerseys with 55 on there. And then, of course, my number, which I wore for sports, was 88. So I've got a whole bunch of different numbers. I got 22, I got 5 or 55, and 88. So I got a lot of numbers in there. I
had Jordan's number before, 23, when I ran track. They just randomly gave out numbers, and I got 23. But that was for track when I did that.
No, and I think it's interesting you brought that thing up too about 23 and people with Steele going down to that number. I mean, I know it was Boschman and everything, but I don't know. I don't think that's a big deal. That's just my take. I mean, he was on and off with the team. And don't get me wrong, I love Francois. I love him. It's one of my wife's favorite players too. But I'm not too upset about that. I mean, they switched those numbers around. So that's the latest update. And yeah, numbers always, to me have importance. They have importance to you, and I know a lot of the people out there too. Whatever sport you played, you had your a lucky number as well. So just a little update there on those numbers for the team. Now, as far as the roster, I guess it's hard to predict what it's going to be. This taxi team kind of throws a wrench into things, but Eddie and I looked at the team. We looked at who's on the roster. We looked at Cap Friendly. We looked at the Ducks roster page. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I think we'll start kind of reverse order. The part that's the least up in the air is goalies, right? We know it's Gibson and Miller, so we can kind of just move on from that one, right? We don't have to debate that part. In terms of defensemen, Eddie and I talked about this. We agree on the top four, but how the pairing will be a little. We're not sure 100%, or we have our own thoughts on this. But we know the top four are going to be Fowler, Lindholm, Manson, and Shattenkirk, right? Alphabetical order. They talk about Larson, Curran, and Juice being the bottom three. Eddie and I talk about this. I think it might be Fowler and Shattenkirk, and then Lindholm and Manson. But Eddie, on this one, you think it might be reversed? You think maybe Fowler, Manson, and then Lindholm and Shattenkirk?
Yeah, well, day one at camp, Tim Campbell from the NHL had an article about Kevin Shattenkirk playing with Lindholm, and he compared him to Victor Hedman. He was paired with him on the first day. He said that Lindholm covers a lot of ground. He's a phenomenal skater and breaks pucks out of his zone. They were feeding each other passes and just kept continuously talking to each other to learn how they play. It seemed from that article, from that day, that they had a little bit of chemistry on that first day going. So it seems like moving forward, why not let these two guys keep playing together and build that chemistry, and hopefully they can become a really dangerous duo on the back end right there. So that's the only reason why I switched that. Other than that, I agree with the rest of the lineup that you had, but I think why not try Lindholm and Shattenkirk out? Especially they had that good first day, and who knows what's going to happen if they can get some chemistry and they can get some fire in the back end.
No, I agree. I mean, like we said, top four, and maybe they switch those pairings up a little bit, but not a really big debate as far as the defensemen at least the top two pairings. We know the top four, so we're good there. Then, in terms of forwards, maybe a little bit up in there, but like I said, this taxi thing kind of throws a wrench into it. I mean, I think the top six, you're still going with Milano, Getzlaf, Heinen, Silverberg, Henrik, Raquel. Maybe you still throw out the Jones, Steele, Terry line. And then, of course, the fourth line, you got Delorier, Grant, Rowney, Agazino, and Backus to fill in as well. So I don't think there's a lot to debate there. The reason why is this whole taxi squad thing. And we're probably going to have to make a funny meme about this once it comes out. My wife and I were talking about this, and Eddie, with all his fantastic editing that he does. Eddie, the editor. And all the stuff that he does on social media, he makes up a lot of the funny stuff. But you look at this taxi squad, right? They're talking about 4 to 6 players. They still got to go through waivers. They can call them up on the same day if it's before 5 o'clock. There's a bunch of little rules on there. You can go on Cap Friendly and check them out. I'll talk a little bit about them now. But I think that's kind of how the lineup's going to go. I don't see it being a lot different than last season. But the reason why I say that is that if the Ducks have this taxi squad and the players go through waivers, they can put a bunch of guys on there that don't have to go through waivers, right? So again, go to capfriendly.com, look at their waivers calculator. They have all the players on there for each team. You can look up the Ducks who don't have to go through waivers. So I think there's a good chance that there's players on there like Comtois, one of our favorites we talked about, Kindop, Dostal. Don't forget, they have to have a goalie on the taxi team unless they have 3 on the 23-man roster, which I don't see the Ducks doing. So Dostal's maybe one on there. We also talked about Stolars. I'll let Eddie go into that a little bit. We had a good discussion about that before the show. Lundstrom, right? Bo Grew, another one that could be on there. You just look at these players that don't have to go through waivers, and they could be on there. A couple other ones on there, which we have tons of fan questions on. Ziggras could be in there. Drysdale could be in there as well. They're waiver exempt. So there's some other guys that could be on this squad and then eke their way, possibly into the lineup throughout the season. So even though we're talking about the forward lineup It looks pretty much what it was last season. You have a pool of players here. It's really interesting, Eddie. These guys can, jump from this taxi squad to the roster throughout the season, and now you're playing pretty much, like we said, a majority of the games on the West Coast, except for Minnesota and St. Louis. So they're all really close. They could be in the AHL with San Diego, jump up real quickly. I don't know. It's going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be a taxi runway. I don't know. I mean, it's just going to be crazy to see how this pans out for the Ducks, because I could see these guys coming up and playing in the mix, at least for the forwards. I think the Ducks are pretty solid on defense. And as we said, the goalie is not really a big debate either. But the forward situation, I think, is one to keep an eye on, and is one where the potential for some of these young guys to jump up into the lineup, Eddie.
Oh, definitely. I really hope they don't insert a bunch of young guys as part of the taxi squad. I want them to get as much playing time as possible. We're talking about Stolars. I think he should be, part of that taxi squad. Yeah, I know if they put him on waivers, we have to think other teams are in the same situation, and Stolars isn't that goalie that's going to go out there and steal your number one spot. He's still like an unproven backup. So a lot of teams are at the cap, and a lot of teams have that abundance of goaltenders on their team. So it's not really going to, hey, if we throw him on waivers, we're going to lose him, because there's a good chance that we're not. Someone like Dostal, he's developing well. He's played well in Finland. He had an amazing record. He's been kicking some ass, and I want to see him in San Diego be that number one goalie and just continue to thread upward. And hopefully in the future we have a goalie debate of Dostal versus Gibson. Yeah, it's gonna get annoying, but it's always good to have that other goalie that's ready to step up and be a starter. And who knows, we could have two elite goalies, and we have no idea what we have in Dostal. I think he should just be able to develop naturally or organically, and not be part of this taxi squad where he's just going to be practicing every day with the team but not really getting into some games.
Yeah, it's a weird situation with this taxi squad, the rules and whatnot, because if they're up with the team, they can't do things with the AHL. So I don't know how much the taxi squad's going to be with the team, or are they going to stay down with the minor league team? I mean, it's something that's new and it's going to have to get figured out. Kind of weird. But going on Dostal, looking at his stats in Finland this last year, this guy destroyed it in Finland. Goals against 1.64, save percentage 9.41, 10-1-0 record. I mean, this guy was on fire. And I know it's Finland, it's not the NHL. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to temper expectations, but I'm really big on this guy. I'm big on Ziggras too, like a lot of you are. And we got a crap ton of fan questions we'll go over in a minute, but in terms of goalies, I like this guy. I think he has a really good chance. I've been watching a little bit of what I can online here and there of him playing. I like his enthusiasm. We posted, I think, that funny video of him, I think it was like about a year ago, where he was, revving up the crowd and diving on the ice and everything. I like this guy. I mean, I like that flair and I like that energy. So it's somebody to take hold of. But I'm curious to see this taxi squad and how it plays out. If the players stay at the NHL, do they stay at the AHL? I think to make matters more simple, you would go with more of them being waiver exempt, so you don't have to deal with those issues. Though, like Eddie said, all the teams are going to be in the same boat. So it could make for an interesting season with people, it could be like waiver frenzy, right? People are like, oh, I got my taxi guy, I'm sitting him down. Shit, he's on waivers. This guy picks up. I mean, I don't know. It could go nuts, right? I mean, I don't know. There's not going to be offer sheets flying everywhere, right? We know those don't happen a lot, but I don't know. It could be a waiver frenzy and people are like stealing players from other teams. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think a lot of the teams, if they were smart, they would use waiver exempt players, because then that way they wouldn't have to worry about this whole mess. So it's something that it's just going to unfold during the season. And it's only supposed to be for this season. So it's a little wrench there that you have to look, and monitor this year in the NHL. So with that, the season is going to come up, like we said, on the 13th. While that's close in the future, but I know you're at home watching the World Juniors. Plenty of Ducks in the action. It is the 4th that we're recording the show today, so they're doing the semifinals: Finland against US, Canada against Russia. If you're listening to this after the 4th, or if this gets posted the next day, it's already been over and it's been decided. But it's been a lot of fun, right? You've got Team Canada with Drysdale on there, then Team USA loaded with Cogliano. Colangelo. I'm sorry, not Cogliano. I always want to say Cogliano, right? Because whenever I see that name, yeah, pitchforks up. I'm sorry, Colangelo. I just whenever I see that name, I always think of Cogliano and I get pissed off. But Lacombe, Thrun, and Ziggras as well. So you got that going on. Ziggras obviously has been like just destroying it. Everybody's going nuts. At the point of this show, he's got 15 points. Ties Mike Modano for third all-time in the league. He's got 6 goals, 9 assists. He's just been killing it, destroying it. Has a chance to be the top point leader in this tournament. Very exciting. I'll let you weigh in here, Eddie, and then we'll go into all these fan questions. Like I think all these fan questions is just Zegras. It's Zegrasmania, man.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a sports-related 16. He asked us if we thought it's going to be Canada versus the U.S. I think the U.S. is going to have a tough time getting past Finland. They looked great this tournament. But if the U.S. keeps doing what they're doing and Ziggras keeps doing what he's doing, I think they're going to be fine. I think with Canada, everyone expects Canada to win, including Russia and Canada. The only bad thing about that is when you're a team that's expected to win, all the pressure's on you, and you're a team like Russia where it's like you understand that like these 99% like 99.9% of the chances like Canada's gonna win. You just come over there in that game a little more loose. You just want to play the game and go through the motions. Just do what you have to do, and I think if they play that way, they can possibly knock Canada off their game and probably squeeze by a win. I don't think it's going to happen. I really do think it's going to be Canada and the U.S., and I really hope the U.S. takes it. But regardless, we're going to have a Ducks player get the gold if Canada or the U.S. Makes it.
Yeah, I mean you can't lose, right? If it's Canada against the U.S., you're going to have somebody on there who's going to get. You're either going to have 4 or you're going to have 1. So if that's the way it pans out, but it's been exciting. It's been fun to watch. Like we said, Zegras, scoring all these apples as we joked about on Twitter, right? All these assists. He's been killing it, but he's been getting goals too, right? A lot of people are like, oh, he's going to be the next Getzlaf. He's just going to, do passes and get assists. Well, he's scoring too. So he might be the complete player that the Ducks are looking for down the road. He's the other one I'm big on. I'm big on him and Dostal, as I said earlier in the show. Those are the two that I really, really want to see how they're going to do. I think I said really a lot there. But anyways, those are the guys to look at. And we got a bazillion fan questions on Instagram for this show more than anything. Usually it's Facebook and Instagram. We got a lot of IG questions. But yeah, and specifically for Trevor Zegras, I mean, you guys are like going nuts on him, which, I mean, I agree. I'm with you. I'm like, hell yeah, bring this guy on. I hope he's on the taxi squad. But we'll go through some of these here. Some of them are similar. We have KAI Anthony 9553 asks about Zegras. When will he play his first game in the NHL? We also have WUERCHY asks, will he crack the NHL roster? I think we look at these questions, Eddie. I think he gets a chance to play this season. Does he get a permanent spot on the roster? No, I don't think so, but I think we will see him sometime this season. What do you think?
Yeah, same here. I don't think he's going to make the roster initially, but I think he'll get some games in. I don't think he should be on the roster, though. I know people are going crazy right now because of World Juniors and the player he is, but let him just naturally and slowly develop and let him find his way into pro hockey. Once he gets to San Diego, he's going to be the man. He's going to be playing those top line minutes. He's going to be the person that's going to quarterback the power play and create scoring chances and make everyone around him better and help the goals. Let him get all that responsibility and even build his confidence even more and let him slowly get that transition to pro hockey and then throw him on to the Ducks. Don't expect him to come to the Ducks next season on a team that's kind of just doesn't have an identity yet and have him struggle and have him lose his confidence because he's playing on a bottom 6 line or he gets knocked down to the 4th line or he's not consistently scoring like he's used to. Just let him slowly build up that way and not overly rush him because we have a special player here. he's going to be a great player. And yeah, he's passing, but you know what? If he can make everyone around him better and create offense by his passing and create other players that can score, then so be it. At least we get some more offense. So I can definitely see him getting some games in next season. I don't think he's going to be a full-time NHLer next season, and I don't think he cracks the opening night roster. But he definitely will get some games early on, and he'll be up and down with some few games.
I'm with you on that. That's some of the other questions we had too. We had Moeller Kent ask that, does Ziggras need one more year of seasoning? Is he ready to jump to the NHL full time? You pretty much answered that there. Let's see here. We have Reese Monarch asked, do you see Ziggras starting off the season with the Ducks or the Gulls? Pretty much the Gulls, as we talked about, but he will have a chance to jump up to the Ducks. I think this is a good question. We had Shredden 37. He asks, do you develop Ziggras as a center or a wing? I think you still go with him at center for now and let him develop that two-way game. And then I really think it depends on his face-offs, Eddie. If he can win in the face-off circle, like a Ryan Kessler type, or if he can't, maybe you do push him to wing. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, he's playing well on the left wing right now. And the goals, I say just let him start off as a center and see how he goes. We'll see if he can bulk up more, get stronger on the puck. If he doesn't work out at center, then at least he gets to play and learn that kind of two-way game at the pro level and kind of hone up his defensive skills. Either way, we have a clear-cut winner, and hopefully this player is going to be great. If I'm Rob Blake over there in LA, I'd be trying to trade for Ziggras right now because Turcotte and Kellyhoff, the other two Kings prospects, and Ziggras have been playing well together. If you have that line in the NHL, it'd be some magic. Like I said, if I were Rob Blake, I'd be trying my hardest to get Ziggras to complete that trio of guys that just seem to have instant chemistry. I know Turcotte and Ziggras are pretty good buddies from the USA Hockey, but regardless, we have him, and hopefully he turns out better than both those guys. But yeah, I'd say keep him on center. Let him learn that two-way games from both ends of the ice, and if he doesn't work out, then at least we have a left wing that has more to offer in his toolbox than just scoring goals.
Yeah, I think that's my concern. A lot of people talk about Ziggras, and they're like, okay, is he going to be the next Getzlaf? Is he, going to pass it more too much and not score as much? I don't really have that concern. I honestly don't. For me, I'm more concerned about his face-offs. That's what I want to see. Can he be good in the face-off circle?
I think he's going to be the next Ziggras, and that's all that matters.
I like that.
He's going to be himself. He's gonna play his game, and I think the way he plays, yeah, he might be a pass first, but I think he's going to be that smarter passer. If he sees a shot, take it. But I think he's going to just create offense all around him, and that's what's most important. Not just one guy scoring goals, but having 10 guys score goals.
I agree, and I think it's funny. We had Clancy Schreiber. This is a funny IG one. You have a funny response, so I'll let you answer this one. But so the Ziggras guy seems okay at hockey, right?
Yeah, he's no Mike Modano or Jeremy Roenick.
I thought that was funny, man. Which, we did see Roenick recently, him and Teemu on the golf course joking around. That was pretty funny. You posted that video. So if you didn't see that, check it out on facebook.com/DucksNPucks blog. But it was on there. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, if you couldn't even love Slani more, he's all about that dog foundation to help veteran dogs. I'm talking about military veteran working dogs find great homes. That's like, dude, like when I wake up in the morning, it's like, okay, there's no other way I can love Slani even more. And seeing things like that, it's like, oh man, I love you, man. I'm like one step away from buying a Slani Bible and just converting to Slaniism or whatever. But I'm just joking. But no, he's just an overall great guy, and I love Roenick too. I liked him back in the day. I obviously wasn't old enough to watch him play. When I got older, watching clips, I read his book twice, so seeing them together was kind of fun too.
Yeah, that was another hilarious moment. We tried to post some funny stuff on there. I posted one about, what was it? Oh, I think it was just yesterday. The NHL was like, what's the best dynamic duo? And I'm like, damn it, Korean Solani with the Mighty Ducks photo. I had to throw that out there, and then that blew up on Twitter, so that was pretty good. But, speaking of former Ducks, Eddie, I'll let you break this down. But we have some news about former Ducks signing with other teams. So you want to talk about where some of these guys have landed in the offseason or are trying to land?
Yeah, well, Devin Shore gets a PTO with Edmonton. Michael Delzato signs a PTO with Columbus. Vatanin's still available. It's been rumored that he was going to go to Boston, especially that they didn't re-sign Chara. Vancouver and Vatanen had some ties, but then they signed Vancouver signed Harmonic, so it looks like he's not going to go there. Gabranson was named one of the alternate captains for the Senators, and some guy, I think he played for the Ducks, Corey Perry, signed a 1-year deal with Montreal. When they interviewed him and asked him why he chose Montreal, he said that he wants to win a cup, which probably that's the kind of generic answer you want to give. But then he also mentioned that was his favorite team growing up. So that's part of the reason why. I was still a little bitter about the Ducks not offering Delzato at least a PTO. I think he was a great seventh defenseman, but his health and the way he trains, he guy's a machine, guy's a monster, and I think that rubs out in a positive way as far as other teammates in conditioning. Having someone like that locker room guy, especially on the taxi squad or the seventh defenseman, I think would have helped. I know we're clogged up as it is, but I wish them all the best. As well, I wish all the other Ducks players all the best, including Perry.
Absolutely. And one little thing, too, on Perry. I know there was some confusion out there. So he signed a 1-year deal with Montreal for $750,000. He's also getting paid $2 million from the Ducks. And then the cap hit against Anaheim is $6.6 million. I know it's a little bit different. It's like the way the buyout rules work. But if you're confused on any of that, just go to capfriendly.com, look up Corey Perry's contracts, and scroll down to the very, very bottom. It shows he's getting $2 million each year for the buyout, and then it shows the cap hit against the Ducks, which this year the Ducks get screwed. It's $6.6 million, which is terrible. So, just look at that. If you're unsure of any of this contract stuff, or you see somebody posting something and you're like, wait a second, just go to CapFriendly. They don't post the wrong stuff, so you'll get your right numbers there. Another thing that came up too that's kind of frustrating, we're trying to watch this season, right, with the Ducks and everything. Eddie, you've kind of been more on this than I have, but it looks like we're going to be kind of limited to where you're going to watch the Ducks, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess the Sinclair broadcast group completed a 15-year deal to merge or buy Fox Sports West, and they're going to rename it using the Bally's Casino brand. Yeah, it sounds all good and everything, but the problem is they are slowly getting rid of the ways to legally stream it. I'm talking about Sling TV, YouTube TV, and Hulu Live Sports, which all lost the rights to Fox Sports West. So it seems like the only legitimate way to watch these is cable or satellite. And I see you guys writing, I see you guys posting. I feel your pain. Definitely, I feel your pain. Luckily, I have a roommate that has Spectrum, so I can stream the Ducks games. If not, then I would have to go and pay more money than I want to pay just for the Ducks games. And a lot of people, I get it, you can't afford these premium prices for those services, especially with everything going on right now. And I really think it's really unfair that this corporation's over here kind of just limiting fans of what they can watch. And I definitely feel your pain. Going on their Twitter feed, it says connecting people with content everywhere. It seems like they're doing the completely opposite, and I get it. It's about money, and I know the goal is to make as much money as possible and kind of eliminate that, but it's just not fair. I wish the Ducks or the NHL would do something and step up, because you're going to eliminate a lot of fans from watching your games, and if they can't watch the hockey games, they can't watch Ducks games, they're going to branch off to other sports, or they're going to get NHL TV and jump on another team because they can't watch their Ducks. It's just one of those unfortunate things that it sucks for everybody. It's effed, and I feel for a lot of fans, and I hope they can figure out something. One of these streaming services can pick it up so our fans can have the opportunity to watch their Ducks, especially when we can't even go to the damn games. It's going to be something to watch. We'll keep an eye on. If we have any information of what streaming service is, then we'll let you know. I know people have been talking about VPN, and you can switch your location to get NHL TV. I don't know anything about that. I'll probably look into that to see if I put together something that can help fans do that. It's not. I guess it's not really legal if you're changing your VPN and using that. But at this point, who cares? As long as you guys can watch your Ducks play. That's all that should matter. Like, and people shouldn't be, especially with like everything going on. I don't know people's situation. And I think hockey's an escape, and now you're taking that away. It might just be too much for some people. So I don't know. I think it's a screwed up situation. I think it's absolutely bullshit that this corporation is doing that. But I guess it is what it is, and we can make the best of it. And we'll try our best to help connect you fans with something else. And if you guys know anything about that VPN or anything, how to do that, send me a DM, and I can just get some more information on that and try to help out and help other fans try to connect with the Ducks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have DirecTV. Primarily, I have it to watch the Ducks and the Angels. Eddie and I were talking about this before doing the show. I mean, I really use it for sports. I use it for movies, too. I don't really use it for the news because most of the news is fake, which I've told a lot of you about that, the regular news. I've talked about it on Facebook, so I don't really watch mainstream media because they're just all full of it. But that's another story for another day. But in terms of sports, if you don't have DirecTV or some of these other services, you're screwed, like Eddie said, and that's just a joke. That's just not right. I mean, if you want people to watch these games and do all this stuff, I mean, how do you want to build this audience? You're limiting it now by all these restrictions, and you can watch it here but not there. It's just a pain. So if any of you out there have solutions or answers, please DM Eddie or myself so that we can post it and share it with everybody else. Because we'll have the highlights from the games and whatnot, and do the GIFs and the videos and things that we do on social media during the season. But that's not going to help you watch the actual game live. So any other alternatives you have, please let us know. Speaking of alternatives, Eddie, we talked about the retro jersey and how much it was, but you found some alternatives through your own means and social media where you could get some Ducks jerseys for affordable prices.
Yeah, so people were posting on Ducks Nation. A few people posted on Twitter. I retweeted one of them on Twitter. Apparently, authentic orange Adidas Ducks jerseys in the 25th anniversary were being sold at TJ Maxx for $16.99.
Say Maxx, what?
Marshalls and Ross, $16.99. This has to be some kind of a mistake. Someone screwed up somewhere. But you know what? Fans are benefiting on it. Unfortunately, you do have those fans that are buying them up and selling them for about $80 to $150 on eBay. Which, you always have those people. I'm not knocking anyone's way of hustling, making money. I'm all about that. I will sell a left-handed glove to a right-handed person and make my money. But I have a certain passion and obligation to not jeopardize my integrity of hockey. I don't sell hockey stuff, really. I wouldn't try to make a profit off the sport. That's just me, though. I'm not knocking anyone that does it. Make your money. That's all you. But I just can't believe how freaking inexpensive these jerseys were. I wish I would have known this sooner because I bought another orange one. Obviously, it wasn't for $16.99. I wish it were, but you know what? If you guys can find them out there, good for you. If you guys go on eBay, just be careful and just know that you're paying that jersey, whatever price they're offering. They bought it for $16.99. So if they're selling it for $100, they have a make an offer. Start off slow, kind of borderline lowball them because they bought this jersey for $17. So if you want to get a good one, check that out. If not, try TJ Maxx, Ross, or Marshalls. They have them for $16.99.
That's insane. I can't. It has to. I'm like, what the hell? When you told me that, I'm like, what? So yeah, get out to those places and check it out if you have one near you and see. Or like Eddie said, if you go across on eBay or something like that, make sure to lowball them on the bidding, right?
I really hope it's a mistake, though. I really hope that they aren't selling the Ducks merchandise for this cheap. It just shows what they value, the Ducks organization. That just would be that would really suck. So I'm pretty sure this is a mistake, though, because there's no way you can get a Ducks authentic jersey or hockey authentic jersey for $16.99. Someone screwed up somewhere. Fans are benefiting. Other fans are trying to sell them, but you know what? Good. That's good. So.
Yeah, I know. I just was like, when you told me, I was like, say what? So just check it out. Hey, if it's there, it's there. It is what it is. This kind of rolls into a bunch of the fan questions we have. We covered a bunch on Ziggras, but we had another talking about the jerseys, right? We talked about the Wild Wing retro jersey on the last show. We gave our opinion. Not going to go over it again, but if you want to know what we thought about it, go back to the last one and listen. But we had Jay Jamara 714 on Instagram ask us which retro jersey matchup would we like to see this season. With the Ducks and the other teams. And I think there's a lot of them, Eddie. One thing that's good is, yes, the Ducks are playing all these teams in the Pacific, but there's a lot of exciting retro jerseys. You and I talked about them. I like the Vegas Knights, the red one. Obviously, you liked Colorado with the Nordiques in there. We both liked Arizona with the retro Phoenix Coyotes jersey. I think there's a lot of excitement with the Ducks and these jerseys this season. Obviously playing in the division, but I'm excited really to see all of these. I think Calgary Flames was another one you and I talked about too as well.
Yeah, so what I've heard is the NHL is going to incorporate these reverse retros following the 2022 season just to get the revenue up since fans can't go. So we're most likely going to see those then too. I would like to see at that time when everything's back to normal, the Avalanche and Flames matchup. I think those old school Nordiques ones are one of my favorites. They're actually my favorite reverse retro jersey. And that Flames one is just beautiful. So both those jerseys on the ice playing each other, it's just gonna look really, really great. As far as the Ducks, I think the Ducks Wild Wing Breakout versus the Coyotes, their reverse retro, same thing. Both are iconically beautiful. I guess they're beautifully ugly, if that makes sense, because a lot of people hated them before. Everyone loves them now, but I think that'd be a nice matchup. If the game's boring or sucks, at least you have something great to look at on the ice.
Exactly. But I mean, it's another thing to add to the season to look for. So I'm looking forward to it with these other jerseys and whatnot, especially the Pacific Division. I thought a lot of those jerseys were pretty good. Let's see here. A couple other ones we'll go through here. We got a lot. Just for time's sake here. We've talked about this before, but this season we have Elders S67 and DYLM Widener. They're talking about, will the Ducks make the playoffs? Is it possible? Whatnot? Yes, it is possible. I mean, anything's possible, right? Ducks could make the playoffs. They're playing in this new 18 division. The top four make it. But as Eddie and I talked about in the show earlier, it's going to be tough. And if the Ducks do make it, I really think, Eddie, they make it in as number 4. But then they probably get knocked out in the first round. Unless some kind of crazy trade happens in the middle of the season. But that's what I'm looking at right now, Eddie.
Yeah, but as fans, do we really want the Ducks just to squeak in and get by? Do we just want to keep this mediocrity going? It gets old. We have to start rebuilding a championship team again, and we have to start getting a competitive team, not just for one season so we can feel better about ourselves. No, for seasons to come. Every year should be a chance at the cup. Not okay. Well, if we make it, it's like the Ducks are going to make it. We're projected to make it. It's going to be I'm not saying I want the Ducks to throw games and lose. I just they're not going to make the playoffs, and I don't want them to, if that makes sense. I want them to have a good season. I want them to improve statistically on everything that they have. But the playoffs, it's not going to be good right now. And like I said, I don't want to watch the Ducks just go and get bounced out in the first round and we get a lower draft pick. No, I want us to get a higher draft pick. We have a player like Ziggras. It's looking like the real deal. We have Drysdale at another one that's going to top defenseman. Let's keep adding to that and build a championship team for years to come, so we can have every single year. It should be an expectation to make the playoffs. It's playoffs or bust. Not I hope we make the playoffs and I hope we do well. I don't want that for the Ducks. I want them to be a better team for years to come, not just for streaky 1 year they're good, next 3 years they're bad. Oh, they got in. But you know what? Stranger things can happen. Columbus surprised the hell out of everybody, and what they had, everyone thought they were just going to be the bottom of the league, and they really stepped up, and their players stepped up. So if the Ducks can do that and have all their players to reach that expectation, that potential, and we can get some top 6 or some stars in the making, then great. But as far as right now, I don't see it, and I'm just being real, and I'm not trying to be negative to the Ducks. I love them, but I'm just what I see and what I research every day, it just doesn't see like the Ducks have that championship caliber team for years to come right now.
Well, I agree 100%. We had another question about that too. Arm CK talked about, Bob Murray's desperation to, quote, win now have a negative impact on the Ducks' future. It depends really on how the season goes. I think if he rushes people and tries to push it for this whole win now thing, then yeah, it could have a negative impact. If we see him, I think the biggest thing is what you said, Eddie, is that they need to have these young players get in there, do their thing, and get experience and all that. But there's no need to push people. If they're going to go with the team that they have now, and they're going to have some of these guys be on the taxi squad and fill in, that's fine if they're going to fill in. But they need to get their playing time. So if these guys are going to get at the HL, they're going to get at the HL. If they're going to get at the NHL, that's fine. To me, it doesn't really matter. I want them to develop, and I'd rather have this team be stronger down the road. I don't look at this season. I mean, this season's already going to be weird, right? We have all these new divisions. We're not going certain way. You're not going to East Coast. You're not going to Canada. You have the taxi team. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy shit, for lack of a better term, going on this season. So I would take this year and I would try to develop these younger players as best as possible without rushing them. So that means if they have to stay in the minors and play, I am fine with that. If Ziggras goes to the goals and goes absolutely bananas and bonkers and does awesome and then comes up to the NHL, I'm fine with that. But outside of a few of the players doing that, I'd rather them look at the long term, because I just think that this season, it's not being negative. I think the Ducks can compete. Like I said, I think they can squeak in, but I'm with you. If they squeak in and get bounced out in the first round, is that really going to help the team that much? I'd rather them work on the problems that they had. Like you said, special teams has been an issue. Scoring has been an issue. Things like that. Get this team... another thing that a lot of people don't talk about too, Eddie, you always bring up, this is a great point that you bring up too, is the identity of this Ducks team. What has been the identity of this Ducks team? Nobody knows. What is this team? This team used to be the team that used to kick everybody's ass, right? In 2007 and a couple of seasons. Remember, they used to be big, strong, beat people up.
Thank you, Berkey.
We added Delorier, and he brought an element of that this last season. But we don't really have a style. So I think, the goal this year is not to make the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup. And I know that's kind of weird. You're sitting there going, say, what? No, I don't think that they can get to that level unless, like I said, they pick up some players or do some crazy-ass trades or everything. But given the team that we have now, I think the key is, okay, what is the style of this team? And let's improve upon the things that we had issues with, and the things we're scoring in the power play. And puck possession. That's another one that a lot of people don't talk about. So that's what I look for at this season. It's not meant to be negative. Yes, I want them to go out there and win and make the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup. However, they need to get the building blocks and the foundation fixed first. If they can get that fixed in the beginning and then it translates in that later in the season, I'm all for it. But right now it's baby steps. Unfortunately, Eddie, it's growing pains. I know people hate hearing that. I'm not talking about this retooling bullshit. I think it's rebuilding, and I think that's where we're at right now.
Definitely, 100% agree with you. As much as I want to go and see the Ducks be competitive, I don't just want that. I mean, like, for example, either I can make $1,000 right now, or I can wait 10 years and make $1 million. It's just, you have to kind of look at it like that. I guess that's kind of a weird analogy, but I don't know. I just, like I said, I don't want the Ducks just to squeak by in the playoffs, or it's going to be a hit or miss every season. No, I want the expectation like we had before. They're going to make the playoffs every single year, and it's not the question if they make playoffs, it's if they're going to win the Stanley Cup. And I think this team needs an identity. Definitely needs an identity. I've said this numerous times, and I'll say it numerous times again. And I'll still back up my word. And if he proves me wrong, I will apologize. But I don't think Bob Murray's the GM of the future for this Ducks team. And I've said that before. And I'm grateful for everything he's done and continues to do. I just can't see it going. We need something different. We need some big change, and we need to get competitive again. And this season is not one of those seasons to sit here and gamble on and hey, just win now, let's bring up this. No, we'll just ride through the motions and hopefully fix what we need to get fixed, get a foundation of the building blocks, like you said, and form an identity and really get to that point where we're going to go as a team and what direction. Then we start bringing in players in that fit that mold. But, who knows? Like I said, I just hope we have a good season. I hope everything gets worked out, that they did the last season with the special teams and scoring. And if Zegras goes down to the AHL and he kills it and absolutely destroys it, and has nothing left to learn or to hone his game, and he forces their hand to call him up, then call him up. If there's nothing more he can learn in the AHL, he's just there to just get playing time. And no, if he can prove that he belongs in AHL this season and just absolutely dummies it and destroys it, then bring him up and start building him. And hey, start him on the third line, the bottom line, let him work himself up. He's used to that. I think he started off with the third or fourth line for the World Juniors, and now he's their top line left winger. And he quarterbacks the power play, so I don't know. It's going to be wait and see. It's going to be fun seeing these kids come up, though, and we see them, a few of the games that they're going to get this season, though.
Yeah, I think that's the part to look for this season is all these young kids and where they're going to, pan out in the lineup, especially the forwards. That's what we said. Look at that a lot, and we'll have to figure that out because the Ducks have their top 4 defensemen. There may be a couple, younger guys that squeak in that bottom third pairing, which is, somewhat suspect. We had Jacob Loves Stella on Instagram asked us about that, and absolutely, the bottom 3 is shaky. You have to see how that pans out. You still got Mahura, Hakapa, Gooley as well that can play in there. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen with that third pairing, and we also kind of addressed this too. Jay Kimball 1097 talks about Murray keeping the prospects up in the league this year, and we said that with this taxi thing, it's really gonna throw kind of a curveball in the season. I think they can have some more of these younger players up with that taxi team situation. Like I said, using the waivers in there as well. So stuff to look forward to. I mean, it's gonna be crazy. I think it's gonna be a crazy season. It's gonna be fun. I think the Ducks are still gonna be competitive and exciting to watch for sure. I just wouldn't get too crazy on we're going to be a Stanley Cup contender. No. Let's not get too crazy. We had Reese Monarch, asked about 2022. Yes, 2022. Okay. After this season, then, okay, maybe we start, 2022, 2023, something like that. But this year, I think, is the year to identify, who we are as a team. And like Eddie said, address the weaknesses as well. And then we go forward from there. So, with that, we'll go to the last segment. We'll talk about the league news and break down some things. Finally, Eddie, the league fixed the offsides rule. Good Lord. They finally did what we talked about. They're going with the plain rule. They're not just going with the damn skate on the ice, Eddie. What do you think about that? And then, of course, the other rule, the advertisements, which, you and I have mixed feelings about.
Yeah, well, I'll start off with the rule change. I love the clarification. It was always kind of ambiguous, it seemed like, back then. So now it's good. It's something that's going to be a positive change for the game, and hopefully it works out. And there's no other issues for that moving forward. So that was actually good by the league to do that. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, God, seemed like such a problem every time reviewing these, is the back foot on the ice or not? And it's like, dude, man, you got to look at this thing as three-dimensional. It pissed me off. We got technology, right? Can't you put some damn kind of laser shit on the blue line and show, is their body across it or not? Come on. This is 2021 now, right? We got to have some Star Trek or Star Wars shit that can work, right? I don't know. I just get tired of that. So the fact that they're now looking at it more three-dimensional, I'm just happy because how many times, especially with the Ducks, have we seen that? And they're like, oh, he lifted that skate up. It's offsides. And it's like, well, wait a sec, dude. The guy's body is not across the blue line. So I'm happy about that. But the advertisement thing, I don't know, Eddie. You and I talked about this. If they're doing it on the helmets, it's one thing. But I'm just afraid that this is going to end up like Europe where they're, skating around as a damn billboard.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely hate them. I hated those ads when they put them behind the goalie. I think I was the first person to notice that. I think I went to a preseason game, Mike, and I told you, hey, there's new ads behind there. I was complaining about that. That didn't bother you too much, but the helmet thing, that bothers me. Just stop with the advertisement. And I know they're going to use the excuse, this whole pandemic, we had to get revenue. That's absolutely bullshit because the league was planning this for a while. They've talked about ads on jerseys before. They have the practice jerseys already with the advertisements on them. They're just using this pandemic as an excuse to kind of ease fans into it. No, I think the helmet, the ads and the helmets, and actually like it's a joke. It's stupid. It's only going to open up for ads on jerseys, and mark my words, it's coming. This is just the start of it. And once again, they're going to put the ads on jerseys, and they're just kind of screwing up the sport because the NHL does a horrible job at marketing the game, and they're trying to do what the top other major sports do when they throw the ads, but they don't understand. Hockey's always stood out for people because it was its own different entity. Like the jerseys meant something more, the hard hits, the fighting. Ask any one of your friends that don't follow hockey what they love about it. They're going to talk about the hard hitting and the fighting, and it seems like John Scott said in one of his podcasts that the wussification of this sport is going to draw fans away and not grab new fans. And you think that the fans that you do have, you think adding those ads on the jerseys are going to retain your old fans? There's going to be some fans that are going to really hate that, and you're just going to stop watching. Like I know a lot of fans stop watching for other reasons that I won't get to on this show, for what happened in the bubble and stuff like that. That's their right, but it's just things like that. I think it's going to hurt the sport more than anything. Yeah, you're going to make money off of it, but that doesn't help the fans. Like, that's just going to draw them away. And like I said, it's going to happen. I will respect the shit out of a company and probably buy their product if they buy the ad space for the helmets just to leave them blank. That would be the biggest statement any company can do, because you think that, okay, all because their ads aren't on the ice. No, you're going to be thinking, oh, this company did this. They didn't put the ads on. Now I'm going to be like, okay, I want to support that company. I don't know. I love the integrity of this game, and I hate the fact that they're trying to change it all the damn time. Instigator rules, the fighting, the hitting. It just leave the game how it is, because that's how you attract new fans. Not trying to be like basketball, baseball, or football. No, just be like hockey. Be like the sport that everyone fell in love with. Whether you fell in love with the fighting, the hard hits, your family, the gold, anything. It's just, that's what's taken away from the game. I don't like it. And ads on jerseys, I don't know. I'll probably still watch. Of course, I'll never ever buy an authentic jersey with an ad on it, though. And if I did buy one, I'd strip that thing right off, because I would never wear that and support that on any of my jerseys. But I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into this a little more, but I can see this happening, and the league's just inching it, and they're using this pandemic as an excuse for it. But I think it's bullshit. I think these ads are coming on the helmets regardless of the pandemic or not.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to add it to the helmets, which is one thing, but then are they going to add it to the sleeves of the jersey, the front of the jersey,
nope, you know what?
Pant legs?
Yep, the pant legs are coming next, and then boom, it's going to go from there.
So, I mean, I'm with you on that. If you're going to keep it at the helmet, fine, but I just think that now you're opening a can of worms. I mean, I'm with you on that. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, if I get a jersey and they have these advertisements on there, I don't want that on there. Hell no. So,
are they going to pay? Is that company going to pay a portion of that jersey so I can rock their advertisement? Hell no. They're probably going to charge more for that jersey because that little ad on there. I'll take it right to the freaking cleaners and have them rip that right off. I don't care how tacky it looks.
Yeah, and I know some people too. So if they go to that, I have some people that can take those things off as well. So if it comes to that point, I will share that information with everybody, and we will take care of that. So, let's wrap this up. We've got a little bit of league news to finish up the show. There are going to be some outdoor games, Eddie. I know your team's going to be involved in it. I think you want to brief a little bit on that, and then I'll kind of let you talk about a couple of the other teams here, and I'll chime in, and we'll wrap up the show.
Okay, well, they're going to have like a Mystery Alaska kind of games on Lake Tahoe with the Colorado Avalanche facing off against the Vegas Golden Knights. They're also going to have the Philadelphia Flyers play the Boston Bruins. This is a fantastic idea. It's going to be great. However, fans aren't allowed to attend. This is kind of dumb. This is stupid. Save this for next year. This is a great idea. But not having fans there, what's the point of it? You're going to have the media, oh, they can use drones. Like, okay, that's supposed to make everybody feel better. Come on, guys. Market the damn game better. Lake Tahoe on the pond, like, this could be a really big event and something special, but no, you're not going to have fans there, so it's like, okay. And then, who knows, Colorado's having their issues with their broadcast company. A lot of their fans having to be able to watch their games because there's issues going on with their cable and stuff over there. So they're screwed out of it. So they probably won't even be able to watch this game anyways. It's like, I don't know. I love the idea. It's not to include fans. That's what's bad.
I agree with you 100%, Eddie, because, we talked about on the last show, you're talking about having these games and the possibility of having these outdoor games. And that by doing these games, you can have fans, with the whole COVID thing and all that going on, but they're going to have this and not have fans. I mean, you and I talked about this. I just watched the Browns-Steelers game, and they had fans there. Yeah, it wasn't a full capacity, but there were people there. So, I'm not going to go all crazy on this because we could spend probably 5 hours talking about all this stuff, and it gets me amped up. But I'm with you. They should, if they're going to have these outdoor things and not have fans, just save it to next season. Don't even bother.
Definitely, especially I feel for Avalanche fans too, because like I said, half their fans can't even watch their games over there because they're dealing with disputes with the owners of the Avs or the cable company. I don't even know. It went to the point where you had bars illegally streaming these games so fans can watch it. That's how bad it was. At least over here, you still have, I guess, some little bit of options, but over there it was a little bit worse. So, I don't know. A great option, but bad this season.
Yeah, 100%, man. A lot of stuff, unfortunately, is becoming illegal now. But again, I don't want to get into all that. But anyways, let's go on with the other teams and some of the other news. I know we're talking about, well, this kind of goes into what's going on now. But Chicago, right? Jonathan Toews is out now, Eddie.
Yeah, he's not going to attend training camp. He feels drained and lethargic. He's going to work on his condition with some doctors to figure out a solution. This sounds like it's more mental health than anything. I can relate to that. And someone like him that loves this game and Mr. Captain Serious, that it's probably hard for him to take a step back and to realize that he has something going on and he has to get it fixed. It's really horrible. But his overall health is the most important. I wish him all the best. But someone like that needs to step back and figure things out. And someone that of his caliber, it happens to everybody. It's not just you. So just hang in there, like Mike said. If you guys ever need anything, just hit us up. We're here to talk. I guess more bad news for Chicago. Kirby Dach got injured in an expedition game against Russia. He's going to miss the entire tournament and most likely to miss the entire regular season. They already lost Alex Nylander for the entire season. And this just throws a question. I threw this in there because people are now hitting up the Hawks like, hey, should you have let him play in the tournament? Like, is it really worth it? And I'm thinking, okay, well, if Ziggras was in this position where he played in the NHL, he had a good playoffs because Kirby Dach had, I think, 6 points in his playoff games this season. Now, if this happens to Ziggras, then how would Ducks fans feel if they allowed him to play? He got hurt. He's missing the season. Ziggras took that big hit against Slovakia. Luckily, he just missed a shift and he was fine. But they were gunning for him in that game too. So I don't know. It's just I'm split between this because I want players to represent their country in any form they can. It builds their character, their confidence, and it's really a pride thing. Like, you're representing your country, but if a player like Ziggras, like Dach, is injured and he's done for the season, what benefit do you get from that? It's one of those questions that it's going to be split between hockey fans. It's going to be 50-50, no gray area. Some fans will agree with it, some fans won't. So it's going to be how you interpret it.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me, Eddie. I mean, I look at that, and it's just difficult. I mean, you want those players to represent their country. You want them to be in that tournament. You want them to get that experience and everything. And then, yeah, if they get an injury and then, okay, great, their career's over or they're out for a season or whatever, that's tough. I mean, I think that's really up to the individual. It's what they want to do. That's the way I look at it. I've always been about people having their choice. Something that's been lost in 2020. People don't have a choice anymore, unfortunately, and that's what I feel. I think it comes down to the individual, and if they're comfortable doing it and playing, I think they should. And if they end up getting hurt, that's part of the game. I mean, that's all the risks that we take, right? I mean, that's you take a risk driving a car every day. So,
yeah, but
but I know what you're saying. But you have to drive a car. You don't have to play a sport, right? It's a little bit different. So it's not quite the same. But I'm just saying that my point is that there's a risk involved, right? So it's tough. I think, given the situation, it's something that the player should decide. And if they have to talk with the team about it, they talk with the team about it. I mean, it's. I don't think there's a right answer on this one, Eddie. I think you can go either way.
Oh, 100% agree. Perfect. 100% agree.
You know, it's tough. It's just like I said. There's always a risk involved, right? I mean, like, you know, it's an unfortunate thing too. You don't want that to happen. I guess kind of moving on to here, we've talked about some of the players the Ducks missed out on. You talked about Columbus, Pierre Dubois. He signed a 2-year deal for $10 million. What do you think about this, Eddie? We had, this was mentioned on IG too. The question as well. Do you think the Ducks should have gone after Pierre Dubois, or would the cost have been too high, or is this something that the Ducks should just stay away from?
Well, the 2016 third overall pick and the way he's played, the cost is going to be high. It's been rumored that he wants a trade out of Columbus. He is a left winger. He signed a 2-year bridge deal. He's 22 years old. He scored 49 points last season, 18 goals, 31 assists. He has 158 career points, 65 goals, and 93 assists in 234 games. 213-pound left winger. I think this is someone that can help the Ducks. I think this is the kind of player that can develop into that star player that the Ducks desperately need. Having someone like Ziggras feeding him passes too, it feels like a match made in heaven. I don't know how this is going to hold up. He's going to be a really expensive player to acquire. I know I just read that Boston had some interest in him too. He's going to have a lot of interest from the league, especially if he really wants that trade. But you never know how this turns out. There's some players that just didn't feel it, and they wanted to trade. They played that season with their team. They had a good season, or something happened where they wanted to end up staying with the team. So it just all depends. But I think this player could he can help the Ducks. And John R. Lottie on Instagram mentioned this too. So I'm glad he did, because we were going to talk about it too. Ducks have to start thinking about the future. We definitely need finishers. So this one of the players that we should keep an eye on. Also, I wanted to throw in too an unrelated thing. This is no rumors or anything. There was rumors way back then that Bob Murray had some interest in Florida Panthers Mackenzie Weegar, defenseman. This is nothing floating around that's dead. He's with Florida, but I'm just saying and thinking, like, in the past when Bob Murray wanted someone, he usually got it. So it's like, with Bob Murray wants, he gets. So it's just like, I wouldn't be surprised if Mackenzie Weegar gets acquired next season for the Ducks, or if not, he's with the Ducks start of the 2022 season. That's too many twos for me. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I was just thinking about and going past other players. It's like that Bob missed out on, but he ended up getting. So it's just one of those things that I know, like, a lot of fans like rumors. So this is one that I just pulled out of my pocket. There's nothing going around right now, but I'm just, if this does happen, you heard it first from Ducks and Pucks, that if this trade actually comes to fruition.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with Shattenkirk, don't forget, right? The Ducks tried to get him. It didn't work out. Then they did get him later on. So you never know. It's something to think about and keep an eye on. And then I like Pierre Dubois. I just think the cost is too high, unfortunately. I mean, I'm willing to go for it, but I don't think Murray is willing to go for it. So that's where I'm at on that, Eddie. What about what's going on with the Devils and your favorite, PK Subban?
Well, I know I've been beating on the Devils a lot, so I'll say that Mackenzie Blackwood signing, the goaltender, was a great signing for them. That kid really stepped up, and he's looking like a really genuine star. But Subban, of course, being Subban, has to be the center of attention, goes on Instagram to publicly announce his breakup with Lindsey Vonn. Then he publicly announces that he wants people to respect his privacy. That's just like an oxymoron, I believe. Like, PK is Mr. Center of Attention, never wants to be private. I think, him, I love what he did with the Children's Hospital. I used to like him as a player, but I think he's just, he wants to be a social media star, not a hockey player. Like, shut the hell up. Like, okay, we get it. You're center of attention, we got it. But it's not fair to the New Jersey Devils, it's not fair to the fans, it's not fair to your teammates. Your team should come first. It's not New Jersey PK Subban, New Jersey Devils. If you feel that you can't give 110% of your undivided attention to your team, then get the hell out of the NHL and go be a social media star. Go fight Logan or Jake Paul or whatever those idiots are doing. Just do something else. Your fans deserve better. Your team deserves better. It's getting annoying. It's every season, every 6 months, every month you have to hear something with Subban. You know what? He's the most worthless Subban in the NHL. Malcolm, I wish him all the best. And Malcolm Subban, his younger brother, I wish him all the best in Chicago. That dude he wants to play. He wants to get his game better. He's taking a little slow to develop, but I really hope he turns into a really great goaltender and really helps Chicago. And PK, you guys can go have a little musical chair session with the Logan Pauls over there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I don't know. Again, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but it's just like, dude, you're saying one thing and doing another. Just let it go, bro. Like, nobody really cares who you're dating or who you're not dating. I honestly, I could care less. I don't care, dude. Like, good luck. Like, if it works out with someone or it doesn't, then cool. Like, whatever. Just, play the game, dude. Do what you got to do on the ice. I'm just not going to worry about it. But, we talked about some of the other players that the Ducks might try to get. What do you think, Eddie, about this whole Josh Hosang incident or situation, I should say, with the Islanders?
Oh, one more thing, too. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. I just saw my notes. But I think New Jersey got a new social media team because they're absolutely freaking killing it. Savage Mode 20. I remember some kid was trying to troll them, and they posted a picture because he looked like one of the Harry Potter kids. And they posted a picture, but it was all in good fun. Like, he went back, and he was like, it was good. It was good humor. I don't know what's going on or what they're drinking in New Jersey or what their team. I don't know, but they're just absolutely killing it. I wish more teams would follow their footsteps, like Vegas is doing, like Seattle. I think that's what fans love and need to get that character. But to move on to the Islanders, it seems like every offseason when we start getting ready to the season, there's more Joe Hosang drama. Well, it turns out he did sign a one-year deal with the team, but they're not going to bring him to the training camp, so he's just going to remain with their AHL affiliate. Yeah, I think this has, I think part of it's the player, but I think also part of it's New Jersey, our New York Islanders management. It seems not to let go. It seems like a bad marriage that's already failed, but one party's not wanting to sign the paperwork. I think he has a problem, maybe an attitude problem, showing up late, things like that, but I think it's just like broken window theory. The window's broken already. You're leaving that car out there. It's just causing more and more damage. You should have fixed it, got rid of him, and got something when you can. Yes, he was on waivers. No one picked him up. I still think there's value to the kid. I wouldn't want him on the Ducks, but I think it's time to cut ties already. Like, okay, it's not working out in New York. Go try another team. If it doesn't work out, then, obviously we know it's the player. If it does work out, then obviously it was the Islanders' fault too. But it's going to be hard to play for an organization that doesn't really value you. So I understand a little bit where he's coming from, but it's just hopefully this saga ends and hopefully he has a new journey with someone, another team, and New York can get something for him later on in the season.
Yeah, that situation's not working out over there, and I don't think the Ducks should try to, go for him. It's some kind of personality thing or locker room thing. I don't know 100% what's going on there, but it's definitely one situation that the Ducks should stay away from. So let's move on here. What's going on with St. Louis, Eddie?
Yeah, so they got a new captain. Their 23rd captain is Ryan O'Reilly, with Tarasenko, Shin, and Parenko being alternates. I really loved Ryan O'Reilly. I really wish he became a Duck. I had so many great memories with Ryan O'Reilly in Colorado, watching him practice. And as a fan experience, too, talking to him, his nice car, just him showing me things in his car. He was really down-to-earth, really cool guy. He's a workhorse. It's good to see him, too. I want to mention this because he was having some mental health issues in Buffalo where he felt that he lost the passion for hockey. He didn't want to play anymore. He comes to St. Louis. He wins a cup. He rejuvenates him. He's one of their top leaders in St. Louis, and he gets rewarded for being the team's captain now. So it just I love how just everything seemed like it was going down for him, and then he just kind of slowly built himself up. So it's good to see. I want to throw Mike Hoffman signed a PTO with the Blues. There's an expected contract in place. The Blues just have to figure out their cap situation. This is a player that we both talked about as possibility of the Ducks trying to get. Obviously, he's over there with St. Louis now, so wish him all the luck. Moving on to the Capitals, some unfortunate news and some surprisingly 2020 shocking news. Henrik Lundqvist will miss the entire season due to heart complications. He's going to have open heart surgery to fix the issues. It's believed that he had heart issues throughout his entire career, but it never was really an issue until recently when they had to get more tests. Something wasn't right. Our thoughts and our prayers are definitely with him and wish him all the best. Someone like him, a really class act guy, trying to have a new journey in his career. I hope he hits successful in the surgery and he can come back and he can finish up hockey on his own term. Who knows? The Ducks need a backup goalie next season, so maybe Lundqvist wants to come over to Anaheim. And some shocking way to end 2020 news is Zdeno Chara signed a 1-year deal with the Washington Capitals. Boston offered him a contract that was with a limited role that included some healthy scratch time. I guess he wanted to play more. He still has a lot to offer, so it was really surreal seeing him in a jersey other than Boston. Yeah, I know he had Islanders and Ottawa jersey before, but no one really remembers or cares about those times. Like the most significant time he spent was with Boston, and everyone knows him as that Boston Bruins guy. So, like I said, this was the icing of the cake of 2020. Shocking. I wish him all the best, and definitely wish Lundqvist all the best as well.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, nobody really knew about Lundqvist, and when that came out, I'm just like, man, really? So I wish him the best. That's just unfortunate. But like you said, it's 2020, right? All the craziness that's happening. But that'll wrap up everything that's going on with the league. We do have a few things quick to close out the show. We are having a fantasy hockey league again, Eddie. Do you remember which website you used? Was it Yahoo again?
Yes, Yahoo. I tried ESPN. I just didn't like it, so I'll stick to Yahoo.
Okay, so we will be posting some of that information. We will be doing some giveaways as well. I have a few things to come up with, but first, second, and third place, obviously, we'll be getting stuff in that league. Also, talking about giveaways and contests and stuff like that, we had Christian Ramirez, that was an Instagram user, that a follower too, that got the Wild Wing jersey. So he was the winner. We posted on some of the social media stuff, but in case you didn't know, he was the one that got it. He was super excited. And also, we joined rumble.com to add the podcast to. We're still on YouTube as well, but we're also on, like I said, rumble.com. You can look up Ducks and Pucks. We're on there as well. So that's another place to look forward to listening to our show. And we will try to do shows more on a weekly basis or every 2 weeks when the season starts. So we're ready to get rocking and rolling. We got about a week to go. Enjoy the World Juniors, and let's go Ducks.